There was a lot of violence and craziness in my house. It just, it wasn't a happy place. And then my mom and dad that were, not really trained to have kids. They were two wild kids having kids. And early in life, my dad told me a million times that I ruined his life. So within 6 months, I'm already found guilty and sent to prison, Louisiana State Penitentiary in Angola. And I was mad. And I paid a lot of money for the lawyer, and I felt like the lawyer didn't really do anything in trial, so I was really upset. So I started studying law. There was a time there when I was deciding, I was going to get out eventually, and what was I going to do? I wasn't going to go back to bartending and waiting tables, and so I figured out that I couldn't practice law because I had a felony involving moral turpitude, so I said, well, why not be a paralegal? So I applied for a Pell Grant, got it, and went to Southern Careers Institute, correspondence course, and got a 2-year degree in being a paralegal. Started learning how to, file briefs and win cases, and read all the appeals. I knew which issues to go on. And so I won a lot of cases and got a lot of guys out of prison. I knew I wanted to come back home to Texas, so I sent resumes and copies of briefs and to all different attorneys that I knew. One of them was the Attorney General of Texas. So I sent him a resume and cases I won, and he hired me. And gave me an employment agreement and a residence agreement to go to the parole hearing with. So I was granted parole. I come to Texas, and I'm a paralegal for the ex-Attorney General of Texas. I started doing loans and got rich real quick. All this time that I'd spent as a paralegal taught me to do things right business-wise, but I couldn't handle the pressure of being really, wealthy and being able to buy whatever I want, do whatever I want. And it didn't take me long to, get addicted to coke and to women and to craziness. And eventually I was arrested and violated and sent back to Louisiana. On the way back, I saw myself in the mirror wearing a white jumpsuit and carrying everything I owned in 2 bags because everything else had been repossessed or taken back. And I said, man, they must be sending me back to Louisiana to teach somebody something. Then I walked by that mirror and I saw myself. I said, no, God's sending you back to learn something. I went back with this humble attitude instead of being a jerk that I had become. The more God shows me the depths of my selfishness and my depravity and my self-centeredness, the more I repented and tried to do better. And I'd do better for a while, and then I'd examine myself again, and God, if I wasn't still selfish, shallow, and so I'd repent, and it just started maturing. I call that participating in the sanctification process. I started actually, checking myself and seeing who I was and seeing who I wanted to be and taking those steps to be there, and I started changing. When I was in there, the Pell Grant, the education, gave me a chance to get out and to do well. And if I'd have had the character to handle money, I would have done really well. The second time that I came out, it was spiritual. So I learned how to live spiritually, honor, integrity, self-sacrificing, all those good qualities that I didn't have before, I was developing. And then when I fell into a position to make money, I could handle it. It wasn't a problem. I decided to go back to college and get the mental health credits to be licensed as a counselor. So I got another Pell Grant that paid for half of the schooling and took a student loan out for the other half. I became a licensed chemical dependency counselor, and I started working at treatment centers. So I was shooting video in church, going to church all the time, going to school full time, and doing my internship at a treatment center. And right about the time the internship was up, a job came open at the Open Door Mission. So I became a counselor at the Open Door Mission, then they promoted me to manager. And boy, I learned a lot. Dealing with homeless addicts all the time, 200 guys, you really learn a lot. Now, I've made many mistakes on the way, and what I've learned is that it's more than just education. Develop your intimate relationship with God. Do those things that are naturally going to position yourself to be successful when you get out. And anybody can make it. There's a lot of times I tell people, they say, what are you doing? And I say, well, all I have is work ethic and enthusiasm, and the rest is God. But now as I'm maturing, I'm seeing that even that work ethic and that enthusiasm comes from our spiritual relationship with God.